Today is the beginning of Hanukkah, and there is a Hanukkah slide. Maybe. Hanukkah, the menorah has 8 candles on it, representing the 8 nights, the miracle of the 8 nights, where they lit a candle in faith to prepare the temple that had been defiled by the Greeks. And they had only a little bit of oil, but the miracle was that the candle stayed lit throughout the 8 days until the temple was fully prepared again. So we celebrate that with our Jewish brothers and sisters, and we honor this holiday very deeply. All right, so joy, are we trapped? All right, I'm going alone, friends. Joy can be found in laughter, but it is not dependent upon it. Joy can be found in adventure, but it is not dependent upon it. Joy can be found in pleasure, but it is not dependent upon it. Laughter, adventure, pleasure, wonderful, wonderful expressions of joy. But joy is a much, much deeper experience. Unity teaches the 12 powers, and I thought for sure joy was one of them. I've studied them way, way back in my years, but actually joy is not a 12 power. The closest I could get was zeal. Here we are, good. The closest I could get is zeal. And zeal is it's a great word, isn't it? It's just a great word to say. Use it this week. But zeal is more about motivation. Zeal is about passion and moving things forward and being excited about it. But joy is so much deeper. Joy is so much deeper because joy is who you are. Joy is who you are. That is my little Lolly. When she was about 12 weeks old. Isn't she adorable? This is her now. She brings a lot of joy. She's our baby. All right. God is not a God of sadness, death, suffering, and sacrifice. God is a God of joy. God is a God of joy. This is an idea that must become deeper than a thought. It's got to be deeper than an idea. It's got to become a belief. It's got to become a conviction that God is joy. God is a God of joy. If you really believe that, if you were certain that this is true, I mean absolutely certain, meaning unwavering, meaning whatever happens in the world does not matter, does not shake your knowing of this, who would you be? What would be different? This is an important question. What would be different about you if you truly knew that beginning, middle, and end, the sustaining power of spirit inside of that and as that is joy? It's interesting when things in life do happen, and we've experienced traumatic things in our lives where we think, I'll never laugh again. And we truly feel that when we're in sadness, when we're in grief, when we're in letting go, when we're in the dark night of the soul, we don't laugh often, and we have the thought, but something happens. Some morning comes, the sun rises, something gets you, and suddenly there's a breaking open and you have a laugh come out of you. That is not because something in this world caused it or triggered it to make it happen. It's because inside of you is this constant state of joy. And it does go kind of into hiding sometimes in terms of your experience of it when life is happening. But because it is never completely diminished, because it is who and what spirit is, therefore who and what you are, at some point, no matter the changes, there comes a point where you feel that something. It is that something that is represented in this story of Christmas. Jesus, the baby, represents the birth of this joy. this light of perfect love. And as we say over and over and over here, it's not a story about someone who was born over 2,000 years ago that was just lucky enough to have it. It is a story that is meant to point you inward into your own self. And so I ask you today, on the eve of Christmas, the eve of the eve of the eve of Christmas, where is the joy, the natural state of joy? And more importantly, where is it wanted in your life? Where have you, for whatever reason, shut it down? And what would prosper and rebirth if you just let it flow? If you're challenged in the areas of money, flow your joy there. Don't wait for it to get fixed and then you'll be joy. If you got a relationship that's tough and in a lot of struggle right now, flow your joy there. Lay down the story. Lay it down and watch joy begin to change your experience of it. Your body, whatever it is. And we have to be very careful, my friends. I want to be very clear about this because I've been noticing this over the last month, hanging out with phone calls with friends and reconnecting and visiting people here and even in our own home. We got to pay attention. I don't know if this happens to you. Do you ever go out to lunch or dinner with your friends and you realize you've been talking about your aches and pains the whole time? I realize that starts to happen to us. If you're under 40, just wait. I'm kidding. I'm sort of. We have to pay attention because that is not true of the spirit of your being. Yes, there is a large wave that says this is what's going to happen to you, and this is what's next when you turn this age, and this is what's next when you turn this age. And it's so encoded in your ancestry. It's so encoded in our culture that this is what happens, that if we don't pay attention and stay alive and keep the vibrancy of joy within us, we will just take on those conversations. We will take on those aches and pains. And we will become that, forgetting who you truly are, which is the light and the love and the joy of spirit. Joy is not the absence of struggle or pain. It is the presence of God. Isn't that good? I know I made that up this morning. I actually did. I thought it was good. Because it says what it is. It's sort of, because this is what we do. When we're in pain and suffering, we collapse that with the experience that we're having. We collapse that with who we are. And so we forget who we are. And it doesn't mean that, it also happens in this kind of a teaching where we make up a story that if I'm in pain, if there is disease, if this is happening, then I'm doing something wrong. So we get ourselves trapped because of the philosophy and the truth. Unity teaches very, very high spiritual truth, and it calls all of us up to the highest bar. But that doesn't mean we're not going to grapple on the way. It doesn't mean your body isn't going to move through whatever experiences. In fact, it means everything that you're moving through is a part of lifting you up and remembering. So don't confuse joy with happiness. Don't confuse joy with having to be expressed in a particular way. Know joy as the name of God. And suddenly joy doesn't mean you're dancing all the time, but it does mean there's like this sweet pulse. And it's just inside you all the time. And it says everything's okay. It says that sun's going to come up again. It says that sun's there. Just because you don't see it behind the cloud of your experience of life doesn't mean it's not there. It says keep your focus on the sun even when it's hidden. That's what joy does. And again, who would you be and what would your experience be like if you moved through with that thought? There are people that do. There are amazing people that do that. I've read stories. I don't know one individually, but I've read stories of people tend to be very, very strong Christian stories. People that have such a deep, abiding faith in Jesus as their Savior, and that's their particular way of life and knowing and teaching, such a stronghold that on their deathbed, they're just smiling. There's just this knowing. That is not exclusive to the Christian faith and only if Jesus is your Savior. That is available to every one of us to our last breath. This is the journey I'm on. And this is the truth of who I am. And that is the eternal self. And we don't need to wait. I don't want you to wait until you get to the other side to look back at your life and go, oh man, I was allotted joy and I didn't even know it. And God will say, but Reverend Mark told you. You know, the Buddha lived 563 to 483 BCE. That's like over 450 years before Jesus. Like this was way, way, way back when only a few of you were here. No, I mean a past life. And this is from the Buddha, and it's very powerful. And we're going to do a call and response because I want this to have deep meaning. I'm going to say the first line, and then you do the response. And there's 4 of them, and then you'll see the next one. So I say to you, let us live in joy, not hating those who hate us. Let us live in joy, free from disease, among those who are diseased. Among those who are diseased, let us live free of disease. Let us live in joy, free from greed, among the greedy. Among those who are greedy, we live free of greed. And let us live in joy, though we possess nothing. Isn't that wonderful? This is Buddha so long ago teaching profound principle, saying to you, be in this world, but not of it. Be in the midst of it, but know yourself as something different. Now let's go back and do this with I am. Go back one. No, I can't. I'll mess it all up. Let's just do it again and go a level deeper on this one. Let us live in joy, not hating those who hate us. We live free of hate. Let us live in joy, free from disease, among those who are diseased. Let us live free of disease. Let us live in joy, free from greed, among the greedy. Let us live in joy, though we possess nothing. Let us live feeding on joy, like the right cause. This is our invitation. This holiday season is for you to remember who you are. That you are this light of joy. In the midst of whatever's happening in the political system, in the midst of the consumerism and the greed, in the midst of the addictions that are running rampant through families and through systems and through governments and through nations, in the midst of where there is poverty all around the world, I'm pointing out things that our human mind and our eyes see and our ears hear, and they take us right into the effect. And then we go, oh, this is terrible. And that's the moment your mind disconnects you from the truth. And this is what we pay attention to. In the midst of this pain, I am joy. In the midst of this struggle and this divide, I am not the divided one. This is such a calling to rise up if you have ears to hear. If you have ears to hear the truth of who you are. How do I say this so you don't just nod your head, stand up, and go do what you've been doing? how do we cross that bridge today? You know who was one of the most amazing bringers of joy this time of year? Santa Claus. Saint Nicholas. Saint Nicholas was such a bringer of joy. And his love language was obviously gifts. My love language. I like that one. Hint. So good. He would see where there was something, where God's light wasn't appearing the way it could be. And his way of addressing it was to bring a present, to bring something external that got to open up, and when people saw it and touched it, they experienced joy. He was a saint. He knew that the joy was inside of every child and every person, and he found a doorway to get in. Simple little gifts. Simple gifts can make the biggest difference because it's the intention that lives inside of it. That's where the difference is. That's what it's about. And St. Nicholas became this famous experience because of the knowing. Not because it was like, oh, that's a fun idea. Let's all give gifts and it spread around the world. It was because of what lives inside of it. And so if you're giving one gift or no gift or 1,000 gifts, before the gift giving begins over these next couple days, I know it has begun for some of you, fill those gifts with love. Take a moment, the same way we did with those teddy bears before they went to those children. You held those teddy bears and you filled it with love. What if whatever gift you give, even if you're sending online the way I am this year, just send some love before you hit the send button. Fill it with your love because that's the gift you're giving. That's what you're giving. And I have a Santa challenge for you. Next slide. No slide. All right. No. No Santa challenge either? It's really cute here. That's all right. That's all right. Here's my Santa challenge for you. I challenge you to be Santa for someone between now and the Christmas Eve service when I will see you at 6 p.m. to check in on how you did. Find some way and make it something outside of your norm, if you can. The cashier at the grocery store, the person in the restaurant, the person walking down the street, pull over. Do something. Do something that makes you randomly give a gift. I challenge you to do this. It doesn't have to be big at all. You can go buy a couple pens at Walgreens. Something it does not matter what it is. And then have it with you in your purse, in your car. Have it with you. And let the spirit of Christmas, the spirit of joy guide you to just give it to somebody. And watch their surprise. Watch their awe. Watch what opens up inside of them. Not because of the gift, because you saw them, you cared for them, you took a moment to acknowledge the joy that they are. Will you accept that challenge? Anyone? Join me? Yeah, let's really do this. Really. Really. All right, take a deep breath. We'll move into our time of prayer. I invite our prayer chaplains to stand, to hold the space. These are the prayer chaplains that you saw a couple of weeks ago. They have spent the last year studying and anchoring themselves in prayer so that they can be of service to you. So today, help them get better and better and better by going to receive prayer from them. If all you got is joy on your heart, ask them to multiply your joy. You don't just go for prayer when things are sad. You go for prayer no matter where you are, everywhere you are. Just receive prayer. And it begins right here. This moment that I allow Spirit to flow through me as this prayer. As my attention rises up to the consciousness of oneness, to this ever-pervasive, always present joy of being, in its softness, in its gracefulness, in its power, in its magnificence. It is this joy that I know God is. God is this eternal, ever-present joy. And I know that I am that. I know that I am formed and fashioned and created out of this joy. That's what I am, and that's what we are. And we meet in this agreement in this moment of prayer. And I know that joy is so powerfully activated and connected within each one of us, unencumbered, nothing blocking its flow whatsoever. And this joy flows perfectly through each one of us in our design. If it's soft in you, feel its softness. If it's bouncing inside of you, enjoy that. All the shades and all the tones of joy we welcome. We welcome in this very room. And we also welcome the presence of the Saint Nicholas, the brilliant light that knew that giving a simple gift to another could awaken the remembering of this joy. And this is what we are here to do. And this is what I know God guides us to do. We are this joy.
I send my peace over the mountains. I send my peace over the sea. I send my peace into the heavens, and it returns to me. I send my joy,
keep it joy,
over the mountains.
Sing it out.
I send my joy over the sea. I send my joy into the heavens, and it
one more time. Sing it out. Send your joy.
I send my joy
over the mountain. I send my joy over the sea. I send my joy into the heavens, and it returns to me. And I know that this joy is fulfilled. It is done. I am so grateful for it. We let it be, and so it is. Amen. Amen. Thank you.